Police in Las Vegas are investigating a weekend break-in at the office of Senator Dean Heller, according to a Las Vegas Sun report. The burglary occurred at Heller's local office in Las Vegas, and a spokesman for Las Vegas Metropolitan Police confirmed Sunday night that entry did occur but would not comment further other than to say the investigation was ongoing. A spokesman for Heller did not immediately confirm the break-in. Heller, R. Nevada, whose seat is a top target for Democrats in 2018, is among the handful of Republican senators who have voiced concerns about the GOP's proposed legislation to repeal and replace Obamacare. He has not yet announced whether or not he will support the recently revised version of the bill. White House squeezes Jeff Flake. The White House has met with at least 3 actual or prospective primary challengers to Arizona Senator Jeff Flake in recent weeks, a reflection of Donald Trump's strained relations with the senator and the latest sign of the president's willingness to play hardball with lawmakers who cross him, even Republican incumbents. Flake, a longtime Trump critic who refused to endorse the president during the 2016 campaign, is one of a handful of undecided Republican votes on the Obamacare repeal effort. He's also one of the most vulnerable Republicans up for re-election in 2018. Since taking office, Trump has spoken with Arizona State Treasurer Jeff DeWitt, a top official on his 2016 campaign, on at least 2 occasions, according to 2 sources familiar with the talks. More recently, since June, White House officials have also had discussions with former state Senator Kelly Ward, who has announced her bid, and former Arizona GOP Chairman Robert Graham, who like DeWitt is exploring a campaign. At a Republican National Committee meeting outside of San Diego in May, David Bossie, Trump's deputy campaign manager and the president of the influential conservative outside group Citizens United, told Graham that either he or DeWitt would likely get substantial backing from conservatives should either enter the contest, according to 3 people familiar with the conversation. Maybe, Flake, should get back on the Trump team. A lot of people believe in Trump's policies, said former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, a prominent immigration hardliner who backed Trump, noting that the president remained popular in Arizona. There's a silent majority that's still there, and still in the state, so watch out. Graham, who has begun reviewing polling and purchasing campaign website addresses, was present at a meeting this spring of top GOP donors in Arizona that was also attended by Chris Bannon, White House chief strategist Steve Bannon's younger brother and a University of Arizona official. At the top of the agenda, according to 3 people familiar with the event, was a prospective Graham primary against Flake. During the meeting, which was also attended by Arizona Cardinals executive Michael Bidwill, several donors expressed mounting frustration with the incumbent. Those familiar with the gathering stressed that Chris Bannon, who is widely viewed as a conduit to his powerful brother, was more of a listener than active participant and did not articulate his feelings about a Flake challenge. Chris Bannon did not respond to a request for comment. The bad blood between Trump and Flake dates back to the 2016 presidential race, when Flake was frequently critical of the president. In the waning days of the campaign, Trump became so angry with the Arizona senator that he proposed bankrolling a 2018 primary campaign against him. Backstage before a rally in the state, the president vented that he wanted to find a challenger to run against Flake and that he'd spend $10 million out of his own pocket to defeat him. Trump is keeping close tabs on Flake's fortunes back home. During a meeting with a small group of state Republican Party chairs in the Oval Office on Tuesday, he asked Arizona GOP Chairman Jonathan Lyons for an update on the race. Lyons responded by telling the president that the state party did not get involved in primaries, according to 3 people familiar with the exchange. The mutual dislike runs deep, said Constantin Guard, a Republican strategist who oversaw Ted Cruz's 2016 campaign in the state. That both complicates Flake's path to re-election by putting him at odds with much of the Arizona GOP, and it makes it very likely that if he gets a primary challenger that the Trump team likes, that challenger will be funded and supported in a way that makes beating Flake the most likely outcome. White House spokespersons did not return requests for on-the-record comment about the president's relationship with Flake. A Flake spokesman, Joshua Daniels, declined to comment on the senator's conversations with the administration but noted that he had voted with President Trump over 95% of the time this year and had aggressively backed several White House priorities, including the successful push to confirm Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. White House officials deny they are actively recruiting a challenger or that any decision has been made to target Flake. Within the highest levels of the administration, there is hesitancy to antagonize the senator, whose support is needed as the president struggles to push his ambitious agenda through Congress. There is also some skepticism that Flake, who has spent over 15 years in elected office and hails from a prominent Arizona political family, can be defeated in a primary. An administration-backed primary challenge to Flake would also further inflame tensions with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who over the last several weeks has had several run-ins with the White House over political planning. McConnell, who is fiercely protective of GOP incumbents and has vowed to protect those facing primaries, recently became enraged when a Trump-sanctioned outside group launched an advertising blitz targeting Republican Senator Dean Heller of Nevada, who was also critical of the president during the 2016 campaign, over his refusal to back the Obamacare repeal plan. Even so, there has been ongoing talk at the White House about how a prospective race would play out. Among the questions raised, according to two people who have discussed the matter with the administration directly, surrounds the candidacy of Ward, a brash conservative who was crushed by McCain in a 2016 primary. A well-known figure in the state, she could siphon support from DeWine or Graham, both of whom are regarded as more viable candidates. The deliberations underscore the administration's disdain for Flake. Months before the election, the senator said he wouldn't endorse Trump, urged other Republicans to do the same, and declared that he wouldn't be attending the GOP convention because he had to mow his lawn. After the October emergence of the Access Hollywood tape, in which Trump was heard bragging about sexually assaulting women, Flake called on him to withdraw from the race and said he might write in independent candidate Evan McMullin, a leader of the 2016 Never Trump movement. More recently, Flake said the president lacked an acceptable rationale for firing FBI Director James Comey, a tweak that angered the president's team. In a state filled with conservative voters who flocked to Trump's anti-immigration views and promised to build a wall on the southern border, Flake's attacks stood out. Trump won Arizona's GOP primary by more than 20 percentage points before carrying the state in the general election. Among the president's most vocal supporters, the feeling of betrayal is particularly intense. He's the president, so we should stick by him, especially on the Republican side, said Arpaio, noting that Flake was one of a small group of senators who had vocally opposed Trump. Yet the complaints about Flake extend to other perceived apostasies, including his 2016 push to pass a bipartisan gun control bill, his openness to negotiate with former President Barack Obama over a nuclear pact with Iran, and his push to lift the U.S. embargo on travel to Cuba. While his supporters praise him as an independent-minded lawmaker who charts his own path, Flake's detractors deride him as a grandstander, one all too willing to poke his party in the eye. Many of those in the state who provided Trump with financial backing in 2016 have begun talking up the possibility of finding a primary challenger, with DeWitt and Graham among those most frequently mentioned. Others hold out hope that GOP Representative Martha McSally, a rising star, or former Governor Jan Brewer, a vigorous Trump backer, will enter the race. Don Shooter, a state legislator and an outspoken backer of the president, predicted that a Flake challenger would immediately be able to raise between $10 million and $15 million from donors eager to see the incumbent unseated. They're motivated to take Jeff Flake out, he said. Among those Flake has rankled, Paradise Valley philanthropist Don Tapia, one of the most sought-after Republican donors in the state, who donated over $100,000 to pro-Trump causes in 2016 and also helped to bankroll his inauguration. Tapia was a benefactor of Flake's 2012 Senate run but, according to multiple Arizona Republicans, has recently spoken of backing someone else in next year's primary. Tapia did not respond to a request for comment. He ran into a big storm coming out against Trump. Ed Robson, an Arizona real estate developer and major GOP donor who contributed to a pro-Trump super PAC, said of the senator. This being a big Trump area, he probably made a mistake doing. Massive news: Gore: we're going through challenging times under Trump. Former Vice President Al Gore wryly laughed Monday as he said the country is going through challenging times right now. We've never had a president who's deliberately made decisions, the effect of which is to tear down America's standing with the world, Gore said during an interview on the Today Show. He's also undermined our alliances such as NATO and hurt our standing in the world in many ways. He and President Donald Trump met in December to discuss climate change in Trump Tower, but the two have not reconvened since the United States withdrew from the Paris Agreement. Gore, an advocate against climate change, thinks it is by far the most serious challenge the country faces. Gore also quoted Senator John McCain, our Arizona, that Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with the Russians is another shoe dropping from the centipede, and said that everything coming out right now should be viewed in context of Russia meddling in the 2016 election. The disclosures last week were certainly some of the most troubling we've seen in a while, Gore said. There are going to be a lot more disclosures ahead if it follows the pattern of all these leaks from apparently inside the White House. Poll: 70% say Trump acts unpresidential. President Donald Trump's behavior as commander-in-chief has unnerved respondents to a Washington Post, ABC News poll, 70% of which said he has acted in an unpresidential manner since assuming office last January. Trump's overall approval rating in the poll, portions of which were first released Sunday, dipped to 36%, a low water mark for any president at this early stage of an administration. But the president fared even worse when respondents were asked about his personal behavior. In addition to the 70% who said Trump has been unpresidential since moving into the White House, 68% said they do not see him as a positive role model, and 56% said his conduct is damaging to the presidency overall. 57% of respondents said that the more they hear about the president, the less they like him. Trump's Twitter habit turned an especially strong rebuke from those polled, with 67% responding that they disapprove of his use of the social media platform. 52% said Trump's Twitter usage was dangerous, while 65% said it was insulting and 68% said it was inappropriate. Other respondents used more positive word associations, including 41% who said the president's tweets were interesting and 21% who called them refreshing. Among Republicans, 38% of those polled said Trump's conduct has been unpresidential, a view shared by 48% of white evangelical Protestants reached by the poll and 55% of white men without a college degree who responded to it. The ABC News, Washington Post poll was conducted from July 10 to 13 in both English and Spanish, reaching 1,001 adults nationwide via landlines and cell phones. The poll's margin of error was plus or minus 3.5 points. Poll: 46% of respondents approve of Trump's handling of economy. Americans are increasingly confident about the state of the U.S. economy, a new Bloomberg poll released Monday morning shows, but that confidence does not extend to the performance of President Donald Trump. 51% of those polled said they believe the stock market will end 2017 higher than it is right now, while 30% said they anticipate a lower finish. 58% of respondents said they feel they are moving closer to reaching their career and financial hopes. But just 46% of those polled said they approved of Trump's handling of the economy, while 47% said they approved of his record on job creation. Overall, just 40% of respondents said they approve of the job Trump has done as president. 55% said they view him unfavorably and 61% said the nation is headed down the wrong path, both numbers that climbed 12 points relative to a Bloomberg poll taken last December. The president's net favorability rating was 41% in Monday's poll, a 9-point dip relative to last December, when Trump was president-elect. Trump's rhetoric appears to have taken a toll on his standing among poll respondents, with 56% saying that his statements and actions have made them more pessimistic about the president. Last December, 55% said Trump's statements and actions made them more optimistic about him. Those polled also expressed skepticism that Trump will follow through on some of his most high-profile campaign promises. Just 30% said they think the president will successfully oversee the construction of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, while 67% predicted the wall will not be built. Just 43% said they expect the president to revive the U.S. coal industry, and 47% said he will succeed in reforming the tax code. On other campaign promises, respondents were more optimistic. 66% said they expect Trump to significantly cut government regulations, while 54% predicted the president will negotiate trade deals with foreign nations that are beneficial to the U.S. 53% said they expect Trump to make good on his promise to deport millions of undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. The president's foreign policy also received low marks in the new Bloomberg poll, with just 40% expressing some level of confidence that he is representing the interests of the nation and not his own business interests when he deals with foreign leaders. 73% of those polled said relations with Mexico have worsened under Trump, while 55% and 62% said the same of Germany and Cuba, respectively. Trump has improved relations with the United Kingdom, 51% of respondents said. The Bloomberg poll was conducted from July 8 to 12, with 1,001 adults nationwide via landlines and cell phones. The poll's margin of error was plus or minus 3.1 points.